Okay guys, so again, I mentioned in the last video that I released that I'm going to do a lot more start from stash type things. You know, we always like to use what we have in our stash, and depending on how things go in the future here with, you know, rising prices and stuff, maybe it's something that can benefit all of us. So if anything's available, like this is probably a newer item, but again, whatever layering dies you have would be great. I'll link in the description box. Those will be affiliate links, which means I'll make a small commission if you purchase items to those links. But, you know, pull out whatever you have and just, you know, have fun. So the reason I brought this out is because I like the layering, and I just recently used the pinpoint layering, you know, rectangles from LGS Creative in yesterday's video. So today I'm going to use the mixed postage because and clean out my garage. I got rid of, I probably should throw this away too, but a lot of magazines, right? Like there's little card making magazines, because some of the ideas are very outdated, or that's just, I don't know. I hardly ever even look at the magazines. I'm just gonna be honest. But I like the stuff that comes in them, right? So I always want to get the freebies, and I'm sure you have tons of things like this. And sometimes they're really small items, and I made other videos about this, like, I don't know, 10 years ago, you know, 5 years ago. The stamp set is kind of small. It's an acrylic stamp set. The dies are relatively small. This one happens to come with an embossing folder. So what I want to do is kind of put things together in a cute way. I forgot this had an embossing folder. I was going to do some stamping, like a stamp background, but we'll see how we play with that. So maybe I'll show you two ways and only use one of them. I don't know. Yeah, so whatever these little guys, you know, that you get in these kind of magazine things would be very cute. They're showing you, you know, a square card with the little sanding tool that kind of buffs out the embossing folder area. So the dies that this one comes with, some of them do cut these guys. Some of them are just their own thing, like these two, which is very cute. So let's just get started. I also already grabbed white cardstock for a card base that I already had in my stash that was cut down. So all I'm going to do is score this at 4 1/4. So this is, sorry, 8.5 by 5.5, and I'm going to score it at 4 1/4. So I hope you guys are enjoying this. I got a lot of great feedback. I mean, I was doing videos like this in the past, but mostly it was about scrapbooking, or I just haven't done one in like a year. I just looked it up. I was like, when's the last time I was doing these? I'm like, oh my gosh, it was a long time ago. I started doing Scrap Your Stash this last year in 2024. But before that, I was doing Start from Stash, or however I was calling it. I don't know. But we're just going to continue on with the same kind of thing. And sometimes that kind of wording takes up a lot of space when you're doing your title. So we'll see if I continue calling it that every time. But hopefully it'll make sense. I'm going to keep this out for a moment. Oh, I found this paper and I thought, oh, that's really pretty. Maybe I'll do this background. Actually, I don't know if it's big enough. Oh, it's just, let's see. Because I was thinking coral paper. I love coral and like ocean kind of themes. And then I found these guys, and I have 2 of them. And I was like, oh, maybe there's a coral in here because it looks like pink out here. And actually, even this blue would be very pretty. But this is the one I'm looking for. And this is from the paper pleating collection that I picked up from Crafter's Companion. It was just like an embossing folder, basically, with some other stencil shapes. I'm going to use it today, and hopefully it'll withstand this folder, you know what I'm saying? Because it's very thin. I think it should be okay. Hopefully it won't tear, that's all I'm trying to say. So, I have a standard A2 size. I'm going to use this larger one. If it doesn't work out, I mean, like, I cannot mess this up, right? Oh, look at that. That'll be perfect. Okay. If for some reason it doesn't work out, or it moves or shifts on me, I'll just use some of the paper from that paper pad I just showed you guys. And then, let me run this through. I'm going to see what the sizing on this, because I don't want another matte layer like this. I want just a rectangular matte layer. So let me run this through, and then we'll see what I need to trim this down to. Okay. So, that's so pretty. I love a good postage edge die. So it has like an embossed area. So I'm going to try to do is just measure from the embossing. So that's exactly 5 inches, which is great, by, let's say, 3 3/4. So maybe I do 4 7/8 by 3 5/8. Okay, so I'm going to cut this one down 4 7/8 by 3 5/8. Okay, so I use my paper trimmer to cut those down. So what I'm going to do is, one of them we will do some stamping, just to show you a different background you can use, you know, your little stamps. And then the other one will be the embossing. I usually do 2 layers. I don't normally do 3. And then if you're doing 3 layers, you probably won't see much of the second layer, or, you know, I'm not going to do that. So this is a very pretty color. Love that. It's gonna be cute. And then these guys. So this one has a little bit of a rough cut to it. I'm gonna run that one through the embossing folder, and the other one will do like tone on tone stamping. Let's open this guy up. Do you guys do that, or do you try and keep the magazines? I always kept them, but there's so many of them, and like I said, I really honestly didn't even look at them. So, oh, look at this. I wasn't even paying attention to if this is going to be big enough for this piece of paper, but it's like right there. I think I'm going to do it this way, even though I guess we can do different. Yeah, I mean, the card doesn't have to be. I was thinking about landscape, but it's so scattered, I don't think you can really tell that it's one way or another, right? So anyhow, that works out, and it is a square. I don't know why I feel like it looks more natural this way. But okay, I'm going to run that one through, and I'll be right back. Okay, so that didn't feel like anything happened. That's supposed to be your regular embossing folder sandwich. Yeah, look, nothing happened to the paper. That's weird. I don't know what to do about that. I'm using the A and the B in this one. I'm probably going to have to shim it quite a bit. I don't know if it's because the paper I use is so thin. That's the first time that's ever happened. So let's see. Like literally nothing happened. Those are 2 plastic shims. I still don't feel much tension. I'm going to try to do like 4 shims. I'll be right back. Okay, I don't know where my other shims are. I just grabbed those 2. I think they're in use somewhere else because sometimes I'll keep them in my other machine. So that is a heavyweight piece of cardstock that I just like sacrificed here because it kind of warped. And that felt like there was finally pressure. That is so weird. Okay. And then, of course, too much pressure. Look what it did. But if it already did this, oh my gosh. That is so funny because even with the 2 shims, it was not, I didn't feel any pressure. But okay. Maybe this is not the one we use. But I did want to show you the embossing folder. It's very cute, but it's not great. So let's go with my other idea that I was going to do initially anyway. I will be right back. Okay. So I'm just going to put something down here, and we're just going to stamp all over this. And generally I use a smaller, something small, like as big as what you're trying to stamp, the stamp size. Maybe this one. I mean, I have all these guys. I have even bigger ones that are like 5x7 blocks. And if you're new to stamping or, you know, paper crafting, that's an acrylic block. I've used it before, and people ask like, oh, what is that thing that you used? So again, I never know where people are in their journey, you know. It's acrylic block you're going to need to stamp with, possibly, unless you still have wood stamps, but that would mean that you're an old school stamper for the most part. Okay, so with these guys, I'm just going to grab whatever, and again, so this is what happens with acrylic stamps after a while, depending on the quality. They stick to the carrier, and sometimes you can't even get it off the carrier. Okay. So I'm just going to grab a few of these and then just start stamping just willy-nilly. Oopsie. See? Oh, okay. That didn't do anything. But just all over. This is kind of why you want to get a stamping block that's about the size of the stamp. Trying to make it a little more random. Okay, maybe that's good for that one. And then maybe like... Oh my gosh. You get the idea. And you can go with a different color if you want to make it multicolor backgrounds. You can also, when I stamp, you can stamp again, and that's a 2nd generation stamping, and it'll be much lighter. But I feel like this is pretty light already, so I'm going to definitely ink it up every time I go. So again, just randomly stamping some stuff. And maybe the Nautilus one, or whatever this one's called. Boop. Like this little guy. Oh, the Nautilus is a different shape. Okay. There's a big empty spot there, so I don't know, maybe I'll fill it in with more of these guys. I was going to come back, but you know what? I think we're pretty much done. I would like something in there. Oh, there's a bubbles one. Maybe we do bubbles. Because I just don't want to put too many of the same shape. One of the other stamps here that would work are just little bubbles. I don't know. Maybe in there, right? Bubbles are cute. Okay. So I'm just going to randomly stamp bubbles all over, and I'll be back. Okay, I think that's good. Maybe a couple extras there. Yeah, just something like that. Okay, so it's nice and filled in. And so all I'm going to do right now is glue these down. So just glue, you know, on the back of this guy. And then glue on this one. Actually, I didn't check to see if the sizing. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Okay, and I'm just going to glue that down too. Okay guys, that is so pretty. I love the colors. I'm just debating on how I want to do the sentiment. I'll do a stamping. I didn't really want to bring like black back in to do like a background. So the very background of the card is white. So I think I'll do that. But then, you know what I'm saying, for the matte layer. But then what color am I going to stamp on? Obviously this is already kind of dark. Actually, I guess I could stamp on something like this with black ink. Honestly, I didn't think about that. I was like, you know what, I'll just bring another lighter color like this because it's very kind of a little bit nautical, right? I don't know. And then my seahorse. Ooh, let's see if it'll work. Okay, cool. I found this scrap and it was blue and I was like, oh, that'll work. But yeah, I mean, he's kind of small, you know? So we'll do that. And then I also run him through like I was thinking about like another pink color, but I'm just going to use this creamy color. And I was looking for a scrap, but apparently I don't have a scrap of this. So, you know, I hate to use a piece like this. I can use that for a card base, but oh, you know what? Hello. This one that I just kind of made all wonky by using it as a shim. There we go. That's better. Okay, so I'll run these two through and then we'll talk about sentiment. I'll be right back. Oh my gosh, I love this. You know what? It looks like a legit, you know, seahorse. It's not like cutesy or like, I mean, this is what they look like. Especially like I said, when I was little, gone to the Monterey Bay Aquarium, probably like a year or two after it was opened, like became, you know, opened, yeah, after it came into being. And I got a little dried seahorse that I gave to my mom. And I'm pretty sure she still has it. And it's sad because it's gross. It's like a little crusty, like skeleton. I don't know. I don't even know how they dried them, but it looks like this, like legit real seahorse, you know? So there you go. I've always been fascinated by them. So cute. They are both facing the same way. I don't want to turn one around because it's going to, I mean, it might be okay, right? But I'm just going to have them both facing the same way. And again, they are on the smaller side. I was actually even thinking about doing my sentiment, possibly cutting out with this guy and just having it long ways, you know, just something to focus on. But I would have to go with like this larger one. I don't know. I just didn't do it. You know, I just realized with this set, this one is a little bit different than a postage edge. You see, I mean, it has a little fancier, right? And then this one is like a matte layer right here. So there's that guy. This one that does an embossed postage edge, but then it has sides that are just flat. Very cute set. Okay, well, we have those guys. I don't think I was going to cut much more. So let's think about birthday wishes. You're in my thoughts. You're in my thoughts in the ocean background. Is that odd? I don't know. Well, we'll use it just because I like the size of this better. But I mean, we can definitely do a hello, something like that. Okay, so I'm gonna take that and I'm just gonna stamp that. And I'm just going to cut this out. So I'm going to look at this piece of paper and see where I have a nice right angle. I mean, they all look pretty well like right angles. I'll do it right there. And then I'm just going to cut it out and do a matte layer. Ooh, okay. So this is kind of interesting. I don't know. Straighten it out a little bit. It looked really crooked. Let's see what that looks like. The only thing that's really straight, in my opinion, is the R in my part of this. So I just want to make sure. That looks good, right? Okay. I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to clean up a little bit, and then we'll trim it down. Okay, so I'm just going to take this guy, trim this down. Give myself about the same, maybe there. It's a little bit closer than this top part, so I think that's okay. And then I'm going to take a little bit off of here. I like to make it so it's about the same all around. That was a little more snug. So what I'm looking here is the my and then the Y there. And then this guy, I can measure this and then make a matte layer, excuse me, or it's 1 1/8 by 1 1/2. So 1 1/4. I'm trying to make sure this is nice and straight. This is actually the straightest corner over here, but it's kind of messed up. So let me do 1 1/4. I'm going to take this little corner off because it's kind of messed up. By 1 5/8. So 1 1/2 plus another 1/8. That's kind of a tight matte layer, but that's what I prefer. And let's see if that works out for us. Yeah, it's just right on there, right? Okay, I'm just gonna glue those together and I'll be right back. Okay, so let's bring this guy back over. And maybe something like that. Okay, so I'm gonna leave this on here flat. Let me see if it was over here. Is that better? Okay, I'm gonna go this way, even though generally I don't do that. But I think it's better that these little guys face in than facing away. Does that make sense? So this little guy I'll put back up here somewhere. It's kind of an interesting subject matter to have you are in my thoughts. And that's just what's in my thought right now. I will pop this one up. So I'm gonna put some dimensionals on this and I'll be right back. The reason I think it's odd is because obviously maybe something happens, you know, during the summer, but it's like, oh, it's Mardi Gras and you know, something happened where you want to send somebody something like this and you're gonna send them something that's like festive, but it says you're in my thoughts. I don't know, kind of weird, but you know, we're gonna go with it. At the very bottom here, I'm just going to put some glue. So anyway, maybe I would do just the hello or something like that. Let's see here. Cute. So this is stuck down. Then we have this guy. I didn't put any dimensional under the little nose. It's so small and I didn't want to cut something that tiny. I mean, and that's pretty just like that. I mean, I have, obviously in my stash, lots of things. I always keep these here from the last Spellbinders Advent calendar. I mean, you can throw some of these guys on there. I feel like you're in my thoughts. Let's make it a little more serene, even though the colors are very vibrant. And let's leave it at that. I don't know that it needs a touch of sparkle, you know? So there you go. All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching again. I'll try and keep doing more and more of these kinds of videos where we're just kind of bringing things out, getting ideas. Obviously yours is going to be very different, and that's it. So just a little layering, a little stamping with those, you know, very small kind of stamps just thrown all over in the background, and then you have a sentiment and a couple little die cuts. All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching. I will continue with these kind of videos, and I will have images come up, links as appropriate if there's anything to link really in the description box, and I will see you all at the next one. Bye now.